Hey Duck fans, Kurt here. Welcome to yet another FishDuck one-on-one. Well, there's an old saying that says you can't go home again, but Tony Koker totally proves that wrong. Big number 43, all 6'4", 240 of him in his playing days. He was a local talent out of Lebanon, and he joined his fellow hometown buddy Eric Castle in Eugene in the early 90s as a linebacker, integral on special teams and in the back rotation. After metaphorically helping to build the program as part of the teams in the early 90s, Tony physically, literally helped to build the program, working in construction on all the great new toys that the University of Oregon now has, all the athletic facilities. We'll get into that in just a minute, but first of all, Tony, how you doing?
Great, and thanks for having me, and I appreciate your site.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Well, you played from 90 through 93, and you were on the team in 94, but you were hurt. I know that you grew up alongside Eric Castle, who's one of the all-time great Ducks. Was he the main reason why you chose to come to Eugene? What other schools were recruiting you, and what ultimately made you decide to be a Duck?
I got recruited by most of the Pac-10 schools, and I turned down the California schools early. It just wasn't in the cards for me to go to California. And then Washington schools hung around for a while, and Utah as well. Eric was a reason I went to Oregon because I had spoke with him and he had told me about the program and the direction they were going, and then obviously they'd been to the Independence Bowl the year before, and they just had things going good. They were my favorite team in the state at the time. My dad and I would go hunting, and I'd listen to their games while we were up hunting in the mountains, and I just took a liking to them, and I wanted to get away from home, but not too far away from home. So Corvallis was just too doggone close. So yeah, I just ended up there, and it was one of the best decisions I've made.
Quite a different setting from what it is today that you've helped to build. But what do you remember of Oregon's facilities at the time when you first came to Eugene?
My first year there was the first year we actually utilized the Casanova Center, and that was pretty neat actually. It was because I remember the year before, when I was recruited there, they showed us what was being built, but we actually saw the locker rooms and the weight rooms underneath the stadium, underneath the end zones, the stadium seating of the end zones actually, and they're very small and very confined. So
I've heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, a little stinky. So it was brand new. The Len Casanova Center was brand new when I went there in the summer of 1990. And so it was fun. It was nice, but still, like you said, to where it is now, from where it was, it's pretty impressive.
Even by football standards, you were big for a linebacker. 6'4", 240. That's a large guy. You get 6'4", 240 running full speed on a kickoff or punt return. That's a lot of momentum.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's hard to stop. And of course, I wouldn't stop till I got to where I was going. So. Yeah, it was just, and those are the days. Those are my funnest times. I mean, I paid for it. Obviously, paid for it physically a little bit. I had some injuries and stuff, but I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world.
That was the Rich Brooks era. The team was known for defense. These days, it's offense, offense, offense. Everyone thinks about it with the Ducks. It's kind of a role reversal. But in those days, the Oregon Ducks defense. Oregon's identity in that early 90s era was there wasn't always the top-rated recruits. Sometimes it was like the second-tier guys who had a chip on their shoulder, and they may not be the best guys, but they're going to play 60 minutes and fight and scratch and claw all the way through. And that defense exemplified it. You were surrounded by some great linebackers in your playing days. Joe Farwell, James Batista, Ernest Jones, just some fantastic players. So what was it like just being able to play alongside guys that you look at and you're like, these guys could play with just about anybody?
Well, and it's funny you say that because I looked up to Joe, obviously. Joe was you talked about my size. I was a good size linebacker. Well, he's very undersized. Yeah. Those guys just had a heart of a tiger. I mean, all of them. I mean, David Massey would come in, and Ernest, obviously. Ernest was amazing how he grew physically and mentally with where he was when I got there and then where he ended up. Those guys just literally just by their performance at practice and on the field, they led by example. I mean, you didn't need them I mean, not that they wouldn't get in your face or hoop and holler or get after you. They didn't almost need to, because you just saw the desire in them and the fire in them. So, and I was following right behind them. I'm like, hey, these guys are for real. They know what they're doing. I'm going to jump right in on this.
What are some of your favorite memories, or maybe a favorite memory of your experience as a student athlete, either on the field or off of it?
Well, I think what people don't understand is, and this is, I'll bring some light to it, is the fact that when I was recruited to Oregon to play football, I signed a football letter of intent with the possibility of playing basketball at the University of Oregon too, because they recruited me for basketball too. But once you get there, these dual or triple sport athletes, they're amazing people, because football's a full-time. Just because you're not in season, you're still doing things that are for football. You're doing workouts, you're doing certain mandatory things that go along with it, even in the off season. So that being said, it's very time consuming, and you have to learn very quickly time management skills, because you don't have a lot of time to do a lot of other things besides go to school and do your football. Granted, off season is easier than during the season. There's lots of good memories out there, but it's and not always do football players hang out together outside of practice. I met some great students there at the University of Oregon that weren't any athletes at all. So it's not that we're just all hanging out and we're just this huge fraternity. We love each other to death and we're teammates and we're like family. But you have time to meet other people, and some of those friends are just dear to me now that as my ex-teammates.
You were able to play 91 through 93. 94, unfortunately, that's the year that everyone remembers, and you couldn't participate. You kind of missed out on the senior year. Obviously, that year stands out for a lot of reasons. But how difficult was that for you, being that it's your senior year, it's your chance to really shine, you can't play, and then you see the team go on to just unprecedented heights?
Well, first and foremost, I was very proud of my teammates and the team at the time, because I consider them all my teammates, because I'd sweated with them and went through practice and went through games the previous year with them. A very tough decision to make. I remember very well walking into Coach Brooks's office, and we had a sit down visit, and we talked over options. And obviously, I'd went through my second back surgery. Just before then, I had set out spring practice the year before, and fall ball was coming up, and I wanted to go down. I wanted to go visit with them and talk to them about our options. And at that time, the best option for me was to. I really wanted to sit out 1 year. I'd already, and I think it was because I'd already redshirted that I couldn't. It wasn't an option really. Mm-hmm. So I just took a couple days, thought about it, chewed on it, went back a couple days later and visited with them some more, and just thought it was in my best interest to go ahead and call her a career, because it's a back thing, and you start thinking about what's next,
Right.
So I had rehabbed from one and played. Maybe could I have done the second one and played? Maybe so, but it's nothing I regret. I think it was the best decision at the time for me. I went and did what I wanted to do, played some good college football in one of the toughest conferences in the nation. So it was no ill will or no hard feelings, and we both understood, So very awkward, though. It was very awkward. That year was an awkward year for me.
You're in a unique position because after your playing career was over, you ended up working in construction, and you've now had the unique opportunity to go from being a player associate with the University of Oregon to now help build their facilities. How often when you're working on something, do you just get deja vu? And you're like, man, I remember when I was out here in uniform, you just see Coach Rad off to the side, like, hey man, what's going on?
it's amazing. I talk to Coach Aliotti quite a bit when I'm actually working on site, because we see each other, or any of the Coach Greatwood, Coach Radcliffe. Any of the coaches that I play with, obviously I have a relationship with them still, and we get a visit and everything. But by no means do I work for the company I work for because they're huge duck donors. I work for Wildish Construction Company, which they're family owned, very much duck backers, donate tons of not only work but money to the program, and they're very proud of that, and so it's makes it that much easier to work for them, obviously. But it is fun working on these projects that we get. We did the under dirt work for the Moe Center. We did a joint venture with Hunt Construction, so it was Hunt Wildish Venture for the expansion of the arena, which we did pipe all the way around it, and because I'm a pipe superintendent for him, which I just fell into. I didn't ever, you know, I was kind of, after college you kind of find your way, and I went here and there, but I just kind of, this fell into my lap, and I just thrived at this construction industry. You know, especially the supervisor part of it and the superintendent part of it, and looking at the numbers and the challenging aspects of it to build these projects. I mean, because it is challenging, but it is also very fun, I would say, to work around camp. And we actually last year did the job to move all the utilities for the brand new football office building. So there's been 6 or 7 pretty good projects I've been involved in around the university there, especially at Autzen Stadium. So I enjoy it. I mean, it's like a, you know, it's kind of like a present in my work to me, you know. I enjoy doing it. It's like, oh, I get to go over there and work. Great, this is going to be fun.
It's a very unique position that you're in. And it also has to be fascinating remembering back from your days as a player. Now you're working on the Moe Center and the Casanova Center expansion and Autzen and PK Park, and you have to be at times sit around and think, yeah, I wish I'd had this stuff when I was playing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that and the uniform. I'm just like, some of these uniforms, those helmets, the first game, favorite of all time so far, by the way. But you know, I try and tell people maybe that I'm working with, or the guys that work for me, you know, where that John Serby youth facility is. We practiced there. Oh, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, we did. That was a big deal. So everything's just grown up around there. But you know, you go now through the locker rooms and stuff, and even though it's still in the Cass Center, they've changed the whole locker room around. They've done a lot of stuff there, and it's good to see. I mean, yeah, granted, wow, I wish we had this stuff when I played.
90 through 93, 94-ish. Everyone remembers the Independence Bowl year 89 as kind of the moment when the program started this next step. And then everyone jumps forward to 1994 for the Rose Bowl. People kind of forget the years that you played in between. Why should people remember the teams that you played on, those 90 through 93 years?
I believe those were some gritty years. I truly do. So we followed up that 89 season. That, you know, my first year there was 90, so we went to the Freedom Bowl. A decent year, actually, for Oregon. Lost to a Colorado State team, I believe. And then we had, and this is where I think this is what I'm almost proud of in a weird way. We had a really rough season. So the Ducks went to 2 bowl games back-to-back. Then the next season we went through the quarterback carousel.
Injuries everywhere.
Injuries decimated us. But during that time, I mean, we were down and out. We'd lost a lot of games. We had a rough year. There were some long rides home, long airplane flights home, and but no one ever gave up. We all knew that this was going for a greater cause. We kept working hard. We knew that the tide was going to turn in our way, and so that right there, I think, maybe some programs could have just dove back down and been satisfactory with the 2 previous year's bowl games, but we weren't. Mm-hmm. And in the off season, people healed up. We worked hard in the off season. We had great leadership on the team. You mentioned that, especially on the defense, you know, and Daniel O'Neill stepped up, and the offensive guys stepped up as leaders. Had a great off season, I thought, and then the next year, of course, we get back to Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana. Yep. So we kind of fell off. The wheel fell off, so to speak. But you know what? We stopped and changed the tire and kept going, and we didn't stop. And I think more than anything, that year after the Freedom Bowl, when we just had that down year, I really think it was a gut check time. We built some character with some folks, and so I thought it almost lit the fire again, even more so. And then so we go to the Independence Bowl, and then the Rose Bowl, and I thought that was the gut check time. And that's why I think people, because it could have went the other way real easily. So I think that one down year where things didn't go our way, lots of injuries. I mean, you can blame it on a lot of stuff. It's just a bad year. But the character, the people that were leading our team and the players of our team wouldn't let it go that way. So that's what I think is it's kind of a key turning point. You know, it could have went the other way real fast, real easily. So, yeah. But we had believers, and we had strong-willed people, and we had a lot of character on the team.
Yeah, those years I think of as the growing pain years, and the '94 year and everything after was kind of the payoff of the struggle that you guys went through the years that you played.
I agree with that.
So, how would you like people, Duck fans, to remember Tony Koker?
Hopefully, I brought a little bit to the University of Oregon, and they're building to where they are now. You know, I just hopefully people say, hey, you know, you were part of that. And you know, and I kind of hang my hat on that. You know, I'm a very proud Duck, and you know what? I don't want no trophies or cheering crowds at the end of the day. I just, you know, if people know who I am or can appreciate a little bit that what I did for the program will be great. And you know what? I'm you know, now all I want to be known for is just being a good dad to my daughter. So I'm just a regular guy. I mow my yard. I'm nothing special. People still come up to me and ask about football and this and that, and I'm more into, don't you got a secret fishing spot or something? So it's in the past. I had so much fun doing it, and Oregon fans by far the greatest fans are. You know, I talked to so many people that have been through those years and stuck with us. You know, granted, you know, there, as well as I do, there's some bandwagoners, but we have a very large root of people that have been with us through the thick and thin, and I meet those people and talk to them quite a bit and appreciate them, you know. So yeah, I just you know, I'm so proud to be a Duck. I'm the choice to go to the University of Oregon, one of the best choices I ever made in my life.
Tony Koker, we will certainly remember you for all that you did on the football field, for all you've done to help the university thereafter. Your signature is etched on all the grand buildings that are out by Autzen Stadium now, and just for being a great Duck. Thank you, Tony Koker, for the time. Really appreciate it.
You know what? It's my pleasure. And I thank you for the opportunity to be on your show.
Well, terrific. Well, Tony Koker, University of Oregon Ducks linebacker, 90 through 93, now an All-Pro dad. Go Ducks.
Go Ducks.